How's it going, Mike?
Hey.
So I saw you with Adam Lyons,
Hmm.
and you were saying something about essentially on YouTube and Instagram, you basically have to pay to play now.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I were to start a podcast, how much do you think that would increase startup costs if I just factored in Instagram and YouTube?
So you can still, even though it's pay to play, you can still win with collabs. Collabs are the way around pay to play. The other way around pay to play is to use other social media accounts to lead back to your main one. So for me, I'm definitely still a little stronger on Instagram than YouTube. So I always do things on Instagram that feed back into my YouTube, right? I'll get some people, there's probably a few you right now watch me on IG Live. And then from IG Live came back and watched me on YouTube. And then once I have you subscribed on YouTube, then I got you. Because once you're subscribed on my YouTube channel, you get notifications every time I go live. And so I can keep you in the funnel that way. Does that make sense? That's a way to do it without pay to play. The other thing is, like, if in the next, do you guys remember that little girl who was doing those interviews from her bed? And she did that one interview with Drake. Did you guys see that shit? She's like super awkward. You know, guys know what I'm talking about? I don't know. I forgot what her name is. The point is, this girl had millions of subs after like 5 episodes. And why is it? Because it was like, yeah, Bobby something. She had huge guests. If you can collab big enough, then you can get through it. And then the last thing I'll tell you is long form content. Let's say you have a video that gets 50 views, but you take some short clips out of the long form content and you put that into a 90-second clip and that clip goes viral. That's the third way to beat pay to play.
Okay. Well, I'm willing to pay to play as long as what I pay for, what I delegate right now, costs less than my typical hourly income. That's my point.
Yeah. So I would look at it. So Nate, the book I would read back is called Buy Back Your Time.
Yeah.
By Dan Martell. And the other book is $100 Million Leads by Alex Hormozi. I would go through those 2 books and then kind of come up with a calculation on how much you should be spending on advertising. So I would look at advertising as almost like a personal, you know how a personal assistant or virtual assistant would like do work for you? The advertising is doing work for you. So you would say, my ad spend would be in proportional to the leads that it generated or the leads that I closed.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I would do some kind of, and those books will help you with that mathematical calculation so you can figure out exactly what your ad spend is. For us, we can't spend enough money on ads because we'll break the system. We get so many leads from our ads, we actually have to like hire more salespeople. So ads is at the limit, right? Ads is already redlined for us. What we need are more, I'm sorry, sales team is redlined. Ads are, we're pushing the throttle all the way down and the engine's redlining. So we have to grow the sales team. We need a bigger engine. So that's the way like it works for us personally. So that's the way I would look at it is like, what is, when I do ads, how well is it working? So for us, the other thing is this, Nate, and this is up to you. Remember we talked about an offer in the very beginning of this show, is that if the offer is good, then the ad costs very little and gets you a lot of money. And right. If the offer is good enough, like there's a couple ways to do this. Number one is taking viral content and turning that into ads. And number two is taking viral content and not having any ads at all and just putting a link in bio or a link down in the description of your YouTube that leads down your chain to get more clients. When you're using social media to bring clients down a funnel, that's the best way to use it. Using social media to try to make money off AdSense or getting paid from going live on different platforms, that's a really, really rough way to make a living. That's a good way to make a living if it's summertime and you're trying to stream while you're out of school and you're in elementary. Like, I'll tell you right, I'll give you an example. I have a nephew, and my nephew, if he had hit me up, my nephew was like fat and lazy. And my nephew was just like, hey, Uncle Michael, can you buy me a PlayStation, whatever, because I want to play some, dumb game, whatever. I'd be like, all right, whatever, here's your Christmas gift. But if he hit me up and he said, hey, Uncle Michael, can I get a streaming setup so that I can stream on Twitch, Kick, Rumble, and YouTube all at the same time? And I want to use the AdSense in order to like set up a college fund so I can go to college. I would pay for all of his stuff. Could you imagine? Like I would, if he told me that he was like willing to, it was something I could invest in, I'd pay for everything. I'd pay for everything because that's a very different way to do it. What he's doing is he's using something that he would do anyway. Like, dude, there were periods in my life where if you're like, hey, Michael, we're going to pay you to play video games for 12 hours a day. I could have done it. When I was 17-year-old Michael Sartain could have made a living doing that. I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't have any issue. So I could have played Madden. You better believe Madden 94. If I could have played that for money, I would be a rich man right now. Okay. So I mean, I'm just telling you, man, if you can build a funnel where it's like you do content that you want to do anyway, and that leads people down a funnel to make sales, and those sales now propagate your media, that's the best way to do it. The hard way to do it is a podcast where you have sponsors. You can definitely do that at some point. The problem is those sponsors are going to go through you for like maybe a year or 6 months, and then they're going to drop you because they don't get any sales from you. Or if you try to do it from AdSense or just revenue from live streaming or like super chat, stuff like that. The super chat way works really well if you have a huge audience. Like you can make a living if you're a Brian Atlas and you're doing whatever podcast, 100%, you can make a comfortable living doing that. Several $100,000 a year doing that. Because he gets super chat, $100 super chats on like several different platforms. So, I mean, if you told me Brian Atlas was pulling in 400,000 a year from super chats on different platforms, I would believe you. I mean, he probably makes a lot of money. You know, and Fresh and Fit, like they make money from super chats, although they were demonetized. Although I don't think Myron's that worried about it. I heard Myron said the other day he bought his 16th house. Myron has bought his 16th property. I'm going to ask him about it on Wednesday. I think that's amazing. He's taking his properties, he's taking the rents from his properties to go put down payments down on new and refinancing his properties to put down payments on new properties. And then he has more properties and he's getting like each one of these properties is like a business that's paying him money every month. That's fucking crazy.
So would you say that you would brand from the very beginning?
I would. Okay. I think the most important thing about making content is not the branding from the very beginning. The most important part making content is, are you comfortable doing this 100 times?
Yeah.
So I got to episode 100 of my podcast. I'm at 103, 104 this week, I think. And the way I got there was I have a studio that I actually enjoy going to. They've got a little coffee machine and they got snacks and I got a comfortable chair and the producers are funny and it's 11 minutes away from my apartment. And I actually enjoy going there. So I did 104 episodes from there. It was great. Bulzarian and I were talking about him doing a podcast or him doing some kind of content like this. And one of the things we discussed, what I was discussing with him was I said, it's really important. I would say this to Dan or anyone else. You feel super comfortable with whatever you're doing. So like you guys see Chris Williamson, he does one from his home. You can see his living room behind him. He's standing up and he's got those headphones in, right? If you ever see Rich Cooper does he's got a camera off to his right and he stands up or sits down and he does it. And he's got the Laurel hardware couch behind him and he does his episodes all from there. If you watch Destiny, what is Destiny doing? He's eating, he's just eating while he's fucking doing his show. Sometimes you can see it's just like his house behind him. He just looks really comfortable. He's in a place where he can do this every day. I guarantee you his chair where he works is not 50 feet away from where he sleeps. Rolo, he has a studio built in his house. So having a comfortable, easy place to continually make content, even when the content doesn't do very well, I think that's the most important thing. More important than branding. The thing about branding is this. I see a lot of people making this mistake. Start off by having an idea what you want to talk about, then let the audience tell you what they want, and then go back and rebrand after that.
Okay. Yeah, I've been talking to Shar that you referred me to, and just getting the ball rolling on that to see what she can.
No, Shar is definitely going to help you with your branding. Shar is definitely, that's her specialty. But my most important thing for me,
content creation too. So
yeah, the most important thing I'm going to tell you though is when you do these things, are they easy for you to do?
Right.
Is it easy for you to repeat? If it gets super hard for you to repeat these things, you're going to quit really quick. Most podcasts don't go past 10 episodes.